Hey, yo, we back with some more boxing. Y'all wanted me to be wrong so bad, it hurts. But not this time. Boxing Ego is back at it again. Former Devin Haney promoter who collaborated with the Haneys before the Ryan Garcia fight, Eddie Hearn, has something special to say. And he's questioning Devin Haney, Team Haney's financial demands. Sound familiar? Sound like what Ego told you? Let's dive right in, shall we? Oh, I love my job. All right, boxing scene. It says, former promoter questions Devin Haney's financial demands. And it's looking like your boy Ego is demand. Slow it down. I just dissed you. I said, former promoter questions Devin Haney's financial demands, and it looks like your boy Ego is demand. That's a bar. That's a little light double, a little entendre for you. So, Devin Haney's most recent promoter can see him returning to the little-known BLK Prime. 26-year-old Haney posted on social media, March, I'm back. BLK responded. We already went over that. If you follow the channel, you would know that. Should Haney fight for the first time since the Ryan battering and appeared on a so insignificant a broadcaster, his return would be at risk of being overlooked. So I'm not going to read this whole thing. This is just talking about the background. This is where it gets interesting. Eddie Hearn had spoken of wanting to extend Devin Haney's promotional agreement with Rematch Room and also of matching him with Liam Paro in Australia. But the tension between them heightened when Devin Haney criticized him on Joshua's defeat to Dubois, and the promoter believes, but wait, there's more. The promoter believes that his financial demands could mean fighting on BLK Prime proves his only choice, Matchroom, Rematch Room signed Jerron Boots Ennis on the eve of Haney Garcia and since started promoting Shakur. Both represent potential opponents for Haney, but Hearn told Boxing Scene, quote, the only conversations I've had with Devin is through Turkey Al-Ashik to go on a Riyadh season card. But again, it's difficult because Turkey wants to make big fights. And coming off that Ryan Garcia fight, it's very difficult to go straight back into a big fight because also you're thinking the Ryan Garcia-Devin Haney rematch is a big fight. He continues, Devin Haney needs a comeback fight, really. For the amount of money he wants to have a comeback fight, that's not easy. Because generally, a comeback fight isn't a great fight. At the same time, who's going to pay for it? Inquiring minds want to know. If you can find someone to pay great money for a comeback fight, maybe that's BLK Prime. I don't even know if there's any truth to it, but I like to see, he said, but it'd be good to see him come back because I don't think he needs to get himself, because I do think he needs to get himself back in the ring. Devin Haney's been very well paid. A lot of that is down to me, but the problem is this interim fight. Him against Ryan Garcia does massive numbers, but that interim fight, he's not one of them guys that's going to take $500,000 or $1 million to have an easy 10-rounder. He still wants to get paid very well. Hearn is in Australia, which we don't care about none of that. He just got interviewed because he's promoting the fight. I think a lot of people are going to be interested to see Devin Haney fight again because they're probably not sure how he's going to come back. Oh, my goodness. Tell me the great Ego Stradamus ain't strike again. This is exactly precisely what I told you guys on my channel. Devin is in between a rock and a hard place. I said that. Now you see it. I said also not just the Ryan left hook and the battering and what happened, how Bill Haney's been acting, how Devin Haney's been acting. Carnival fights, all this lawsuit jazz, Young Thug tape with his girl, like all of it. It's just all like downward. And Eddie Hearn might not have like touched on some of those aspects, but as a promoter, he knows what I'm saying is true because this is your brand. So if your brand is on the decline, if it's nosedive, not only what I've said and now Eddie Hearn is saying regarding getting overpaid for a tune-up that nobody wants to see and Devin can't sell like that, like they made it out. The other issue is his brand is in the dumpster on top of a tune-up, and then he's not being realistic with his financial demands. So then at that point, you don't work with the major promoters because they've put on shows. They've made money, lost money. So at the end of the day, they're probably not willing to pony up and pay an exorbitant amount of money for Devin Haney, all things considered, which is exactly what I told you. Devin has to humble himself, and it doesn't look like that's been the case. So he's trying to go, like, I guess the independent Terrence Crawford when he left Top Rank route, possibly with BLK Prime, because they're the only suitor willing to pay for, Crawford got the David Avocado fight and allegedly got paid well, $10 million. The downside with Devin Haney is this: Crawford can fight his ass off, right? So no one had battered Crawford to the point where he fought David Avocado. Nobody. No one battered him in the same way of like Ryan Garcia's left hook, where he was dropped repeatedly throughout the fight and had to keep picking himself up. It's never happened in Crawford's career. So he was in a different point. He also had the Errol Spence fight looming, and they couldn't get it over the line. Maybe he wanted some things, which he later got, so it all worked out for Crawford. Crawford is in a total different position. I see a lot of the Haneyacks, and they're trying to compare Bud to Devin. Different careers, different people, different style of fight, et cetera, et cetera. So Crawford, in my opinion, had at least a little bit more leverage because he could say, I wasn't coming off a bad performance. I think he was coming off beating Sean Porter and being the first to stop him or something when he fought David Avocado, because he was fighting one time a year. So that's not the case for Devin Haney, of course, from last April's Ryan Garcia fight. You guys could just say, oh, Osterine, and go the Haney route of just saying Osterine, but there's more to it than that. Your stock has plummeted, and now you're not being realistic with your financial demands. So you have to find somebody, a sugar daddy, or, somebody you can chump to get the amount of money that you want. And everything I said, per usual, comes true. You can't get this type of content on the Haneyacks content creators channels because they're not going to keep it real. This picture you see, this is like some Muhammad Ali looking picture that Ryan Garcia got over Devin Haney. And this is a major reason. But you would think that the Haneys would come to the table and be like, hey, the big problem that I notice is this: the Haneys aren't keeping it real. It really goes without saying. Not keeping it real in the sense of, if they just say, hey, we need a tune-up, we're willing to work our way back up the ladder because of our last fight was poor, they won't say that. They want to keep pressuring and making it look like they want the Ryan Garcia fight. Their own longtime frequent promoter, Eddie Hearn, he's spilling the beans. He said Devin needs a comeback fight. He shouldn't go into no big fight. The Ryan rematch would be big. I mean, that's common sense because of all the drama. But your own longtime promoter, Eddie Hearn, is telling you you need a comeback fight. He's also telling you the trouble with a comeback fight for Devin is he wants unrealistic money for a fight that, as a promoter or as a business, they probably aren't going to make a return on that investment. So that's why they're not touching it. And by this admission from Eddie Hearn, it shows what I've been saying, that the Haneys are in a precarious position. Make no mistake about it. For Devin to go from that December fight on DAZN pay-per-view with Regis Prograis with that performance to now the Ryan Garcia fight getting smashed on and mollywopped and dropped several times, and fighting on DAZN pay-per-view again in another big fight, an even bigger fight than the Regis fight, to now going to BLK Prime, an unknown commodity app. I literally haven't really heard much from them since Terrence Crawford. Some people said they thought they were out of business. That shows you that is a step back for Devin Haney if you have to even consider this. Devin Haney is like Steven Seagal. At one point, he was in movies with Kurt Russell, Executive Decision, Under Siege, movies that were going to the theater. Now you watch Steven Seagal, and these Steven Seagal movies are straight to stream. The plots are horrible. The dialogue is horrible. It's shot horrible. I'm making a bomb. What are you doing? I gotta make a bomb. Anybody seen Richie? Want to know why he did Bobby Lupo? Looking for Richie, right? This ain't above the law, Steven Seagal. Marked for death. Looking for Richie. Anybody seen Richie? Want to know why he did Bobby Lupo? We're talking about like the new current Steven Seagal with a gut. This is a backwards step. You on BBL Prime or whatever it's called. And the thing that looks bad is, yes, the BLK Prime, there's just a rumor at this point. It hasn't been confirmed. But why would they post that? That would be my question. See you in March and all that. Why would they post that? And it's showing if Eddie Hearn is in Australia doing interviews about Devin Haney, and he's like, who's going to pay for his tune-up fight, blah, 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 then to me that stipulates that there's no correspondence to have Devin fight his next fight with Eddie Hearn, not his very next one. So Devin Haney is so funny, man. The Haney said that they were independent. Oh, we from the Bay, man. You feel me? We, yada. You know, now here's your chance to be independent. Enjoy. They said they're independent, said we got DHP promotions, but then Devin blamed the promoters saying, oh, I would have been back in the ring if it weren't for these mangy promoters. Nah. Use DHP. Use BLK Prime. You know? Now you can't just use Tank's name for clout and get your stuff going. Promoters don't look like they're touching Devin Haney, especially, like I've been saying, you don't even know how the kid will look in a rematch fight. He could do all, like 50 Cent say, you could do all them push-ups to pump up your chest. I got a game Mossberg to pump up your, you could do all these shirtless training videos with Freddie Roach and Nate Jones. People don't know how you're going to look. And then you're going to fight on a second-rate, third-rate app that nobody really has, BLK Prime. That's a fall from grace if I ever seen one. Eddie Hearn is telling you what Box the Ego has been telling you. This looks bad for the Haneys. This is a backward step. You can't imagine Floyd Mayweather in his prime, not like exhibition Floyd, because nobody cares about that. We talking about prime Floyd. That's like if he fought De La Hoya, you think his next fight finna be on BLK Prime? Absolutely not. He's the money man. So Devin, you know, it sounds like what I've been telling you. In between a rock and a hard place, it's like the Sixth Sense. He the only one don't know that his career is in the spot that it's in. Bruce Willis think he regular, but he not. You know what I mean? And if you've seen the Sixth Sense, you know what I'm talking about. Devin's stock took a hit, but the Haneys are trying to act like, oh, we want to fight Ryan in a rematch and almost act like nothing happened. That's not life. That's why I said from the beginning of this, I'm going to make it painful for y'all because the Haneyacks aren't going to keep it real, but your boy Ego will. You have to humble yourself and probably take a pay cut. I said this from the beginning. You got to take a pay cut because what are your options? Coming off the Ryan Garcia fight a Teofimo and a Ryan rematch, stuff like that. Big fights, good fights, highly dangerous given how you were battered in your last fight, right? So that's one option. Or do what most people do when they got beat up or battered in a fight, which is take a tune-up. But typically, you're not going to get people to want to shell out top dollar for a tune-up when your stock is in a bad position. Unless you're Canelo or Tank where you can fight. Canelo can fight average pilgrim. Tank can fight Lamont Roach and still command top dollars. They're also more fun to watch in terms of pure action in their fights versus a Devin Haney. So like I've been saying, the Haneyacks try to counter program me. Devin's in between a rock and a hard place because you don't have the style that's like sure shot money action. You probably should take a tune-up. You know, so you're going to end up probably, if you fight on BLK Prime, you're probably going to fight somebody who's either A, washed, coming off losses, or is not, you know, what people regard as a Tank, T.O., Shakur type of caliber, somebody with some momentum. And you're just doing it for a paycheck and to get your bearings back. And again, being a realistic boxing analyst and critic, I wouldn't so much have a problem if the Haneys didn't lie about it. Just say the Ryan fight was not our best stuff. Bill Haney, as a trainer, made many mistakes, saying fight in the center of the ring. We going off Ryan and all that type of stuff. And then you couldn't cash that check. Just say, hey, we took a shot at it. Ryan came with some ooh-wop and sat us down, put us on our pockets, blase blah. But the Haneys, they do everything almost the opposite. It's like opposite day. Instead of just keeping it real, I've noticed they'll say stuff like, oh, T.O. don't want the fight, he's ducking. Why would T.O. need to duck you right now? I need a Haneyack to answer that. Why would T.O. need to duck the man that was susceptible to a left hook, has been on a longer layoff, is not as strong as T.O., resume is in my opinion, kind of under T.O. because you both fought Lomachenko, but he fought a fresher, slightly younger Lomachenko because he fought him years before you. Why would he need to duck you right now? Like, come on, bro. We got to make boxing make sense. Make boxing make sense again, and y'all ain't doing that. So for me, Devin is the one to prove because Devin is the fighter that was considered to be massively upset in the Ryan Garcia fight. So the Haneys, like I said, they're going to keep saying like T.O.'s ducking, Ryan's ducking, Ryan's scared of drug tests, all that type of stuff. You got to worry about your own career. And Eddie Hearn's telling you what I've been telling you. Basically, nobody's going to pay, or not many people are going to be chomping at the bit to pay for Devin in an uneventful tune-up. Turkey wants big fights, he says. So I guarantee you Turkey will put up money for a Ryan-Devin rematch, but there's things, you know, they would have to hash out to make that fight happen, like the drug testing. And that's a super dangerous fight, more so for Devin because he was the one that was constantly hurt. Told you guys from the beginning, 2025, I'm going to force y'all to keep it real. Boxers, trainers, content creators, we got to destroy and then rebuild. I'm going to force y'all to keep it real. And Devin's in a tight squeeze. If you fight on BLK Prime, Steven Seagal, direct-to-DVD, direct-to-stream type of movie. Who's checking for that, especially if it's a opponent that's out of prime or coming off a loss or something? Because I can't imagine BLK Prime has never put on a big fight that I've ever watched. So I can't imagine that with Devin Haney, they're going to be able to, by March, put on a massive fight with Devin Haney and whoever, T.O. or something like that. So it's really going to be a tune-up fight where Devin's probably going to try to get his bearings back. And again, it wouldn't be half bad if you just kept it real and said that's what you needed. But the Haneys are still trying to act like nothing happened, even with their purses. It seems like they want, Eddie Hearn's telling you, they want top dollar for a tune-up, but you're no longer viewed as the undefeated Devin Haney entering the Regis Prograis fight or slightly after the Regis Prograis fight. So that's why it doesn't look like DAZN. DAZN didn't even bid on the Sandor Martin fight. So they didn't even care about having that fight on their own platform. What does that tell you? And it also looks extremely bad for the Haneyacks because all they do is lie. They said the Ryan Garcia fight was going to sell out and it was going to break Tank's record. It didn't do that. They said that it was going to be a colossal event. But then both fighters, Ryan and Devin, post-fight complained, said they didn't make enough money and didn't get paid what they imagined, right? Everything the Haniacs have ever put on wax has been a lie. They said, oh, Devin's going to bounce back. And they're saying the opposite of boxing ego. I said he's in between a rock and a hard place. I meant that. And I've said it and kept true to that. Eddie Hearn's telling you in so many words what I've been telling you. Haney said, oh, he's the face of boxing. He's a boxing superstar. If that is the case, then how come BLK Prime is seemingly the only one that is trying to pitch to have him on the network? When Canelo lost to Dimitri Bivol, he still had PBC and DAZN vying for his partnership, for him to be on their platforms. Even though we watched him embarrassingly lose to Dimitri Bivol. So if Devin was really the big superstar that the Haniacs claimed, then wouldn't ESPN, PBC, DAZN, it'd be a bidding war. I remember back in the day when Justin Bieber, I don't know how old he was, but let's say 13 or something, there was a bidding war, like Justin Timberlake, Usher, Diddy, all these guys and all these like music execs were having a bidding war to sign Justin Bieber because they seen the potential to make money with the young singer, and he had an audience, like a young audience that they felt they could target. So there was a bidding war. If you're hot, you're hot. Same thing with 50 Cent. 50 Cent, it wasn't just Shady Aftermath and Dr. Dre and Eminem his only option. He was making noise. Other people wanted him. That's where he ended up. You know what I mean? So if Devin is a bigger star as the Haniac content creators are saying, then my question to you is, that would be shown. Why is BLK Prime looking like the only people that are interested in being in the Haney business post Ryan Garcia, unless it's a big fight like T.O. and Ryan or Tank, which none of those fights are good fights for Devin to take off of the Ryan fight. So like I said, in between a rock and a hard place. And the haters is just something you got to deal with.